Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about one of the Windows service, that is WSUS, which stands for Windows Server Update Services. So what is WSUS? WSUS stands for Windows Server Update Services, and its first version is called Server Update Services. It helps distribute updates, fixes, and other type of releases available from Microsoft Update. You can use WSUS to reliably and securely manage, distribute, and install updates for Microsoft products in an organizations. Some of the product, for example, including Windows Defender, Windows 10, Windows 11, and Office applications. How does WSUS works? WSUS works as a Windows Server role. You can deploy one or more WSUS servers depending on the number of client machines, including server machines whose updates you want to manage through WSUS and other technical considerations in your organization's IT network. If you deploy more than one WSUS server, you can decide to connect one or more WSUS servers to Microsoft Update. The servers connected to Microsoft Update can act as an update source for the other WSUS servers in the IT network. The WSUS servers that provide updates to other WSUS servers are called upstream servers. You can limit the number of upstream servers to one, since one WSUS server can synchronize all other WSUS servers. This approach also helps limit the number of WSUS servers exposed to the internet. However, if many downstream servers try to synchronize from an upstream server simultaneously, it can create internet bandwidth and performance issues. Therefore, you should optimize the synchronization process for efficient performance. You can deploy multiple WSUS servers as you need it in multi-tier hierarchy to distribute updates more efficiently to client machines located across various geolocations. If you also manage mobile devices that join and leave your organization's IT network infrequently, you can allow them to get updates from the nearest WSUS server. Once you have finalized the architecture and set up the upstream and downstream servers, you should allow and connect client machines to get updates from WSUS servers. Accordingly, whenever updates are available, you can review and test those updates and then distribute them to specific client machines. You can also define group to manage client machines categorically and distribute updates based on group policies. What are WSUS server modes? There are two kinds of server modes where it allows to set up WSUS servers. Number one, autonomous mode, and number two, replica mode. Let's talk about autonomous mode. This is a default installation upon for Windows Server Update Services, and it helps implement distributed administrations. A WSUS server set up in this mode only gets updated from an upstream server, but you should separately review, approve, and distribute the updates to the client machines connected to this server. If you talk about replica mode, this mode helps implement categorize administration. You don't need to manage WSUS servers deploy in this mode separately. These servers get updates, approval, status, and distribution policies from the upstream server. How to automate WSUS? You can automate specific tasks in WSUS, Specifically, WSUS Admissions Console helps automate approval using rules. You can specify rules based on when a particular update become available, which product has updates available, or by when an update should be approved. You can also use PowerShell scripting to automate tasks like approvals, cleanups, synchronizations, and update installation scheduling. What all are the benefits of WSUS? So let's talk about the benefits. Microsoft regularly releases several updates for its products, including critical updates, security updates, drivers, service packs, and tools, among others. Installing these updates on critical machine is essential to patch security vulnerabilities and ensure client machines works as expected. However, manually reviewing, approving, and installing updates is a really time-taking task. If you set up a WSOS, then it basically reduce the process, reduce the time. Moreover, manually ensuring all client machines received appropriate updates is error prone and can make your IT environment vulnerable to cyber threats. Using Windows Server Update services, you can centralize and automate update management for Microsoft products. This helps you determine how and when to distribute updates and which machines require specific updates. You can also scan to discover client machines, pending updates, installation and scheduling updates without interrupting employees' productivity. This approach also helps your corporate internet bandwidth as WSUS server uses your corporate internet to distribute updates. If you maintain a downstream servers in a different branch location, you can allow the downstream server in your branch locations to receive updates directly from Microsoft Updates. With this approach, you can overcome bandwidth limitations between your central and branch locations. As WSUS is a server role component of Microsoft Server operating system, it does not require additional licensing if you have already purchased Windows Server licenses. If you talk about potential limitations of WSUS, yes, let's talk about the limitations. Windows Server Update Services is known for having three primarily limitations you may experience. Number one, you can only run WSUS on a Windows servers depending on your IT infrastructure scale. This may require you to purchase a significant amount of additional Windows Server licenses. Number two, while Windows Server Update Services can distribute updates for Microsoft products, its ability to support third-party software applications is limited, and distributing third-party updates with WSUS can become cumbersome. Number three, Windows Server Updates services does not support client machines running non-Windows operating systems like Linux distributions or macOS. This implies you having to depend on additional patches management solutions to manage non-Windows machines in your IT environment. Let's talk about the installation process, that how WSUS server role can be installed in one of the Windows server. So before install the application or the servers, what we can do, let's discuss the minimum requirement of the hardware specification. So you should allow these guidelines to confirm that the server meets the system requirements and that you have the necessary permissions to complete the installation before enabling the WSUS server role. Server hardware required that enable the WSUS role are ties to hardware requirements. The minimum hardware requirement for WSUS are: number one, processor. It should be at least 1.4 gigahertz, 64-bit processor, or more than that. Recommendation, if you talk about, that would be 2 gigahertz or faster is recommended. As far as available disk space concerned, 10 GB is the minimum hardware requirement for the storage where you want to install WSUS role. Otherwise, 40 GB or greater is recommended. Network adapter is one of the most important part. Minimum would be 100 Mbps speed, or it should be gig port that would be sufficient to get the deployment easily. If you talk about memory part, so WSUS require an additional 2 GB of RAM more than what is required by the server and all other services or software. Number two, Microsoft .NET Framework 4.0 must be installed on the server where the WSUS server role will be installed. Next point is, if an install role or software update requires you to restart the server after the installation is complete, you need to restart the server before enabling the WSUS server role. Consideration. Some consideration needs to noticed as below. WSUS will install the following by default during the installation process. For example, .NET API and Windows PowerShell CMD-LEX, those are by default installed at the time of WSUS role deployment. Windows internal database, that is WID, which is used by WSUS. Or for bigger environment, you can set up MS SQL also. Services used by WSUS also be installed during the WSUS setup. How to install WSUS? Let's go step by step. Step 1. Log on to the server on which you plan to install the WSUS server role by using an account that is a member of local administrators group. Point number 2. In Server Manager, click Manage and then click Add Role and Features. Point number 3. On the before you begin page, click Next. Point number 4. In the Selection Installation Type page, confirm that role based on feature based installation option is selected and click Next. On the Select Destination Server page, choose where the server is located from a server pool or from a virtual hard disk. After you select the location, choose the server on which you want to install the WSUS server role and then click Next. Point number 6. On the Select Server Role page, select Windows Server Update Services. Add features that are required for Windows Server Update Services opens. Click Add Features and then click Next. Next point. On the Select Features page, retain the default selections and then click Next. Next point. On the Windows Server Update Services page, click Next. On the Select Role Services page, leave the default selections and then click Next. On the Content Location Selections page, type a valid location to store the updates. For example, you can create a folder name WSUS_database at the root of drive K specifically for this purpose and type K:/WSUS_database as the valid location. Next point, click Next. The web server role IaaS page opens. Review the information and then click Next. In select the role services to install the web servers, retain the default and then click Next. point, on the common installation selections page, review the selected options and then click install. The WSUS installation wizard runs. This might take several minutes to complete the installation task. Once WSUS installation is complete, in the summary windows on the installation progress page, click launch post installation tasks. The text changes requesting please wait while your server is configured. When the task has finished, the text changes to configuration successfully completed and click close. In the server manager, verify if a notification appears to inform you that a restart is required. This can vary according to the installed server role. If it requires a restart, make sure to restart the server to complete the installation. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, if you have any doubt, feel free to please post your questions in the chat window. I'll be try best of with my knowledge and definitely share those details over the video. Thank you.